What's up guys, Magic Navs here, and today I'm bringing to you some Modern Warfare gun gameplay. This is actually the last gameplay that I got during the beta, so this is not the full game version of it, but I did get the full game, and I finished the campaign recently, and now I've just unlocked the combat knife and I haven't unlocked the throwing knife yet, so I'm still working on that. But I realized that they've upped the level that it takes for the throwing knife. Now you have to have it at level 40, because before it was level 30 in the beta. And as it turns out as well, they brought the riot shield back, which ends up being the melee class for the primary, and that one gives you the most mobility for the primary. So it ends up being the riot shield being your best friend in this game, because explosives kill you a lot and you die pretty quickly, so it's nice to have a little turtle shell on your back in this if you're gonna go knife only. But I'm gonna talk about that in another commentary. I'm gonna possibly do a little knife only class setup for you guys, at least my own take of it, so hopefully you guys will look forward to that. Anyways though, in this commentary, what I do want to focus on, one more thing, I do get an 18 kill streak with this, and it's pretty freaking awesome, so hope you enjoyed that as well. Anyways, from the commentary topic, I'm going to talk about the campaign. I'm just going to give you a review on it, my own personal impressions of it, after I went through the campaign of Modern Warfare, the 2019 version, of course. It was freaking awesome. Was one of the best campaigns I've played, next to Call of Duty World War II. That was the last decent campaign that I played via COD, and you know, like, I would say this was up there as far as realism. You know, World War II had decent realism as far as the campaign went, or just the feel of it, and this has very much the same thing, but beyond that. When I was playing the missions in the campaign, it had a lot of movie elements, or movie inspired missions, and you know, from TV shows as well. You had I'm not gonna be, without giving too much away in this like review, they had missions that were based off of the movie 13 Hours. If you know the movie 13 Hours, they have, you know, house infiltrations where you have to use night vision, which I really love the night vision missions in this game. It was amazing. One of the best missions I've played in years. And I didn't even mind playing each mission like 2 times in a row, you know. In fact, if it ever comes to a point where I need something just to, like, for whatever reason the internet's not working or something, I don't mind playing the campaign again. It's like, it was that good that I do not mind playing the campaign missions, some of them. Well, especially the night vision ones. Currently, right now in multiplayer, they do not have the night vision game modes yet. At least I have not encountered them yet. I hope that will be something that they'll bring back soon, because it was really fun. A game mode that they implemented in the beta, and sucks is they only let you play it for a little bit. So hopefully they'll include that playlist along with the others. I think maybe like it would go well with like team deathmatch or something like that. Maybe not necessarily with the other like serious game modes like Cyber Attack or something. But you know, as far as also aside from movies and like TV shows, like I would say the feel of it when you play it, you feel like you're reenacting scenes from like TV shows like SEAL Team or Six, if you're familiar with those shows. They did a lot of house infiltrating with like night vision on, and it's really freaking awesome. And even the history of it. Now, this game is sort of a rebrandishing of the original Modern Warfare story, obviously. But that said, like they still, like, this is sort of the almost like a prequel of the events before like the original Modern Warfare story that we're all aware of. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of like back when like Captain Price, and this was before Soap. This was before like, you know, like the original Modern Warfare series. But you do have Captain Price, and you kind of see the origins, so to speak. You know, so it's kind of a nice idea, and you'll see if you play the campaign, you go all the way to the end, you'll kind of see how they kind of tied everything together, and it was really sweet, the ending, which you'll just have to see for yourself, of course, obviously. But also the history that they've kind of implemented in this is kind of interesting. Now, the enemy faction that you're mainly fighting is either the terrorist organization, which in this game they called Al-Qatala, which is, we all know, it's pretty much their version of Al-Qaeda, basically, and the Russians. We're fighting the Spetsnaz for the most part, and it's been that way since the original Modern Warfare series, and it's pretty great, you know. Now, diving into a little bit of history, if you really want to make a history tie to this, in the game, the Russians invade and occupy the country. I think it's called Uzbekistan or Uzbekistan or some Uzbekistan. I think that's Uzbekistan. Please forgive me on that. It's a pretty complicated country name, but they invade and occupy the country, and you know, freedom fighters just fight against the Russian occupation, you know, and then the CIA and yourself, other coalition factions like the US and the UK, they try to fight back, you know. They help fight off the terrorists mainly, but they're like helping with the real freedom fighters, like the Liberation Force, and occasionally the Russians, even though they try to avoid fighting the Russians because they want to avoid a World War conflict. So if you're tying that to history, that kind of is what happened with Afghanistan. You know, Russia invaded Afghanistan back in 1979, and they were pretty much occupying Afghanistan for 10 years, up until 1989. And you know, because the CIA helped aid the Mujahideen, which are the freedom fighters of Afghanistan back then. They gave them weapons, a little bit of secret training, so to speak, and they figured out a way to, you know, fight the Russians and the Spetsnaz, push them out of Afghanistan. And you know, unfortunately, you know, in the real history, like some of those freedom fighters became extremists, and they became, and eventually they became the Taliban and Al-Qaeda fighters, you know, that we know of today. So hence, that's why if you dive into history, that's why some people are not pleased with the fact that the US did all that in like real history we're talking here. But I guess you can kind of look at this as if it's like an extension of what could have like worsened. Like, I guess if, you know, Russia just kept going with the whole occupation in Afghanistan. If you ever played if you've played the campaign, tell me what you think. But if you haven't, definitely give it a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Peace out, guys.
Your mother sucks cocks.